Hi, guys. This is Francis with another episode of the Guestbook Show, and I'm here with Luis Barberry, Chief Technology Officer at Reserve Hotel. How are you, Luis?
Hey, Francis. Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
With our episodes here at the Guestbook, we like to start off with how you started in the industry, your journey. If you could share how where you started from and where you are, what you're doing now.
Sure. So I like to say, officially, I've been in the industry for about 14 years. Unofficially, I like to say, my father had always worked in the hotel industry. He was a GM. He worked in sales. He worked, from bellhop all the way up. And growing up, he was working for a group of hotels in Mexico, and so I got to see a lot of the operations. And it's funny because sometimes my parents joke that some of my first words were room service, which is funny, but definitely not the case. But after school, I started working for a large government contractor. Um, I'd always sort of been around as a reservationist and things like that on my summers off, and I was working in DC, and I just didn't like the bureaucracy, the red tape, and I realized that it just wasn't for me. And so, visiting my parents just one time, and we just kind of decided, hey, like, let's jump in this, let's do it. And so my father brought the hotel industry a background, and I kind of my background's IT, so it was a good merge, and I was able to kind of just jump feet in and to really start working in the company from pretty much from as a developer all the way now and to I'm currently the chief technology officer of the company.
What do you love about working in the hotel tech industry?
So, I love pretty much everything about the hospitality industry. I think that it's fantastic to see from the time that you go to a hotel and you check in and you see the friendly people at the front desk and the sales process, the sales people, when they are coming up with strategies and things like that. I mean, it's just phenomenal. As an IT nerd, I love bringing the technology solutions to the hospitality industry and just kind of seeing how, small little features and things can really, really help people. It's such a great industry. It's a small industry. It seems like everybody knows each other, which is also fantastic. And if you don't know anybody, they're pretty much like one hop away from somebody that you do know.
Absolutely.
So it's always fun to see everybody.
How has hotel technology, specifically booking engines, evolved since you started?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that one of the big things that's happened, well, at least when I started, GDS was the number one producer, at least for us. Booking engines was sort of an online form. We were one of the first hotel companies to come out with a booking engine. We started building it for the Atlanta Summer Olympics. As the typical thing is where the hotels association partners with the Olympic Committee, and then they take all of the rooms in the whole city. So hotels needed a way to be able to sell on their own and not through the Olympic committees. And so being in Atlanta, we were well positioned for that. And so when I started several years later, one of my first jobs was one of my first projects was to really spruce up our booking engine, which had been a little lacking for the past couple of years. And so back then, the big thing was the one-page booking technology. The idea was less clicks, more bookings. But we found that technology wasn't necessarily scalable. It wasn't very robust. You couldn't really do sort of the A/B testing and things that like you can do now. And so, in our third generation booking engine, I think things really took a turn. We were noticing a lot of clients wanted to sort of package things. We ended up integrating the flight component to it, the ferry and cruise component, especially for hotels in the Bahamas and some hotels in the Caribbean that have, ferry options. And then, around that time, sort of Google Analytics came out. They really started allowing us to see what's going on, look under the hood, and get a better idea of to the insights of what people are doing, how they're using the site, and how to improve that from there on out. So to our goal is really to improve the conversion rate as much as possible for each and every hotel. And so the next fourth and fifth generation booking engines that we have were a series of A/B testing. They were a series of adding flexibility to the booking engine to allow the hotels to add their own scripts, their own data layers. We have dynamic calendars and over 200 flight combinations. So we're trying to empower the hotels to basically become their own tour operators or OTAs. So it's been incredible to see a lot of these changes. Payments has also been a huge thing. Payments, were a simple form back in the day, where the hotels just kind of took it as face value, and then they charge the client at the time of booking, or excuse me, at the time of check-in. And nowadays, it's much more sophisticated. Hotels are coming up with non-refundable full payment plans. They're coming up with installment plans prior to arrival, or even using our partners to connect them to sort of a credit where they're paying post travel on a monthly basis, sort of like the Best Buy 0% interest kind of thing. So it's been quite a journey to see how really this has been changing over the past couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned about conversions, because that's what it's all about here too at the Guestbook, is helping hotels, independent hotels, get direct booking conversions, and take a little bit away from the OTA and get their own bookings directly, like I said, on their websites. So speaking of that, how do you see hotel loyalty programs innovate, especially in the post-COVID world?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting time now. I think that you have prior to this, you had all those OTAs like Expedia launching their loyalty program. You have these traditional tour operators for years have had those, the Apple Leisure Group and Travel Impressions, and those guys. They had their own loyalty programs, and so the small and independent hotel and hotel chains have been left out for years. And so, companies like the Guestbook, I think, are really coming into a space where this is going to be really revolutionized. I think nowadays guests are given options, and you obviously have as extras and amenities and options and cashback and points and charitable donations. I think this is really cool, and I think this is really going to start catching on to for a lot of hotels. And I think even small properties, can benefit from this, because they're going to start seeing, people coming in through these loyalty programs, but also coming back to these loyalty programs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just how travel changed, the pandemic changed everything in terms of travel. So now with a loyalty program, I think it's very essential to, for them to win back and as an essential tool for recovery, right?
Yeah,
and that's what we're trying to do at the Guestbook.
Yeah, that makes sense, because as someone who wants to travel safely, they want to go back to the same properties if they felt safe, especially in this post-COVID world. And so,
yeah,
why not reward those clients that are they're gonna come back to you, right? So it makes a lot of sense.
I think loyalty is more important than ever. That's how we see it, and absolutely. And what opportunities do you see in the hotel tech space emerging in a post-COVID world?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities. Hotels are now, so prior to the COVID world, hotels were hungry for direct business. And I think nowadays it's going to be even more and more important, because in the past 5 to 7 years, let's say, there's been an explosion of tech companies out there, from price compare companies to loyalty programs to companies that, they do their marketing for you, and promise you extra business. So, as those companies start to evolve, each one is asking for, a commission in terms of the sales. And so, as a hotelier, you can't turn on everything at once, and so I think what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing a lot of consolidation. You're going to start seeing merging between either those tech companies and the booking engine companies, or within themselves. And so, in the next couple of years, you're going to start seeing sort of holistic options where you're going to have marketing programs that also do loyalty, and loyalty programs that do comparison, and they can sort of give you all of the above. And I think that that's kind of where we're heading, which is great for hotels, because as hotels start to use these programs, you're going to start seeing more and more direct business, where if you have more direct business, it's going to mean that the hotels are less dependent on some of the OTAs, which also is going to mean that the commissions for the OTAs are going to have to drop. And we're starting to already see that. Long are the days where, Expedia is charging 30 to 35%. I mean, they do, but it's rarer. And, now it's a much more manageable amount, but I think that's still going to start dropping, and you're seeing this already as technology gets cheaper to turn on and to run. It's just gonna go from there, and I think it's gonna be an overall benefit for the end hotelier.
Yeah, it reminds me in the fintech sector when Robinhood came out, pretty much disrupted everything because they removed commissions. And now, as you see it, the big guys, the big players started to follow that. So Schwab's like, oh, no commission. So it's very interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, just more opportunities in this space, especially now. It's almost like, kind of starting from a new era, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's very exciting to see.
We like to say that the hotels now have like all the tools to compete with the big guys. I think that that's truer now than ever. It's you can find website companies out there to do best practices. You can find booking engine companies that are doing best practices, marketing companies the same. And so you've got, as a hotelier, you've got more tools at your disposal than ever. And, starting from scratch, or even if they don't have very much business already direct, they can ramp up very, very quickly and hopefully not depend on the OTAs. Yeah.
Okay, so what we like to do here is we like to end it on a lightning round, where I just ask you a series of quick questions, and just give me answers that comes off the top of your head. So
all right, cool.
My first question is your favorite travel destination.
Oh, that's a hard one. I'd probably just say Europe. I just love the culture. I love, as far away as possible. In our industry, you're always going to at least for our company, we're always going to hotels and to for beach destinations, which I love. But Europe is great.
And we can't wait to travel back to get to get to that point again. So, okay, if you had a choice, a beach resort, an urban hotel, or like a cozy mountain lodge.
Oh man, can I say all three?
You gotta only choose one.
Yeah. Okay. I'd probably say a beach resort. It's just
okay. Yeah. Can't go wrong with
Can't go wrong.
Nice, relaxing beach resort, which I'm longing for. Everyone's longing for right now. Yeah. Favorite airline?
American Airlines. Great. Just travels everywhere. Being in Miami, awesome. We're a hub. I can get anywhere in just one hop usually.
Cool. So favorite season?
Spring. I like spring.
Okay.
Yeah. Spring, summer. Yeah, it's good.
Great. Yeah, travel season too.
Right.
It's great. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Learned a lot about the hotel tech industry and where it's headed and your insights on that. So yeah, thank you so much again, Luis.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.